Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever hardcore Minecraft ever on this channel. I have never played hardcore Minecraft ever, and I'm about to experience it for the very first time. However, before we get into day number one, there is something that I would like to share with you guys, and it is something that is a little bit personal because I really want you guys to know about. If you guys have been following me for at least a year now, maybe not, you don't know about this. However, let's go ahead and dive into it. So about a year ago, I was diagnosed with a disease that specifically affects my hands. Now, it can target other areas of the body. However, I got lucky enough that it only affects the hands. I'm not necessarily going to tell you guys what the name of it is. Just know that it sucks. I wish it upon nobody because my hands get stiff. They just don't do what I want them to do. And honestly, I wake up and they hurt. They just very much hurt. I used to live stream almost every single day, or at least 3 times a week, and I had to give that up in order to actually start going to doctors and starting to figure out what was wrong with me over the last year. Now, I've actually been dealing with this for way longer than that, but I hate going to doctors, and I didn't want to go and be diagnosed with something that was ultimately going to affect my life forever, and that's exactly what happened. But I got diagnosed and I'm on medication now. Things are better to a certain degree, but I get nasty side effects. I still can't always use my hands every single day. So if you guys see and watch my videos from time to time and just go, why are you building so slow? Or why did you do that movement? Now, hopefully that kind of explains why. And I'm also very afraid to start hardcore Minecraft because of that specific issue, because I might put myself into a situation where I'm not able to get out of it, and I'm going to lose my world forever with one wrong move, and it's all because of an illness that I was diagnosed with. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy the series. If you would like to support me as a content creator, you guys now know why I do YouTube full time, because I can't actually work a normal job, at least as of now. Doctor's orders. But I hope that you guys enjoy my 100 days here in Minecraft Hardcore. Enjoy the show. I started my first day like any other first day in Minecraft. I loaded into the world, I looked to see what was around me, and then I noticed a shipwreck off in the distance without even having to move. I realized that the days were going to go by extremely fast, and I didn't want to deal with the mobs in hardcore at night. I quickly started to punch some trees, and I hurt my hand in the process, but that is a story for another time. I made my first crafting table and crafted up my first set of wooden tools. I found some pumpkins very close to where I had spawned at, and I also found another shipwreck off in the distance. I killed my first sheep. It was a white sheep. I didn't want to discriminate, so I killed the black sheep and became a murderer of their newborn child. I decided that I needed to become a Stone Age and get some cobblestones so that I could make myself a furnace and cook some of the food that I had just received because my hunger was already getting low. I decided to expand my cave area, finding this cave and finding my first iron within this world. Found this zombie, decided to become Monster Hunter and becoming famed around the land. Quickly did a iron sword and decided to kill my first creeper without any armor. Not a smart thing to do. And then I crafted up a boat and set sail on the high 7 seas. After that, I found my first village not very far from where I had landed at. I was very excited, so I'm going to do a little bit of twerking for you guys. I found a cat. I decided that I wanted to tame the cat and got my first Best Friends Forever achievement. Realizing that it was night, I needed to sleep, so I kicked this villager out of his bed and went to sleep in his bed. Thanks, villager. I sat down my cat and I noticed that a shipwreck and a pillager tower were very close to the village that I had just discovered. I went into the shipwreck and hoping that I was going to find some buried treasure. I found some moss and some bamboo, and little to my surprise, I did find a buried treasure map. It was really close by, but I wanted to get some rest and it was becoming night, so I decided to return to the village and steal another villager's bed and claim it for my own. Thanks, villager. I appreciate you. quickly discovered where my X marks the spot, and then I was able to find my buried treasure only a few blocks below the surface, and this is everything that I got from it. Quickly doing a little bit more exploring and found my future forever home, and I instantly fell in love with this village. Bred up these 2 sheep and ended my day 4 by sleeping in another villager's bed. The next day I woke up and I decided I must kill a whole bunch of cows. I wanted their tasty beef and their leather. While doing that, I discovered 2 donkeys really close to one another, and I love donkeys in Minecraft. I found a shipwreck just off of the shore. I found a buried treasure map and some other items. Here's the location of the buried treasure, and while I was actually digging for it, a wandering trader decided to show up. He has dripstone in there, but I didn't realize it at the time, and I missed out on a wonderful opportunity to get some dripstone. I killed off the wandering trader like any other Minecrafter does, and got 2 free diamonds from the buried treasure map once I discovered the buried treasure. I used the leads from the wandering trader to bring the donkeys back to the village. Once I got back to the village and woke up the next day, I decided that I needed some of my iron armor, the helmet, the leggings, pretty much everything that you could need for the upcoming days. I also wanted to return to the original village that had my best friend forever. I unclicked him so that he could follow me back, and I sat him down right here on this hill, and he actually hasn't moved since. I also decided to start a small farm. Now, over the next few days, I decided that I needed to set sail and do a little bit of a journey. Spread my wings and fly, so to speak. In my journeys, I found lots, and I repeat, lots of different shipwrecks, but they ultimately gave me a ton of goodies that I needed early on. Found buried treasure from a lot of the shipwrecks. This is just one example, and many ruined portals just like this one. Tried to catch a pufferfish, did not work. Found a village that seemed to be only run by children, so I decided to steal all of their melons, their hay bales in the process, and also I decided to break their entire library, because what child likes to read anyway? Found this really cool cavern below that village and decided to set sail back for home. Once I actually got back home, I decided to plant some more crops, and then I wanted to attend to my animals and decided that the rain was just too much to bear, so I went to sleep. Now, the next few days are just mostly gathering resources such as coal, iron, copper, logs, things like that. I also needed to kill some more cows because I desperately needed their delicious, tasty steak. Decided to cook it all up, had myself a meal, and set off on another adventure. This time only finding a few new villages, but I did survive my first full night by a drowned temple and a ruined portal. I also found a lot more diamonds, like the one here at the shipwreck, another one at a buried treasure site, and a weird shipwreck here in the middle of the desert. I woke up on day 18 feeling alive and excited, so I decided to do a little bit of exercise, gather up some of the materials and resources that I was going to need in order to start my day. Said goodbye to my sheep and my cows, and picked right here to dig my very first mine and my mining experience for 1.18. Found this cave, which was really cool. I still have yet to fully explore it. Went back up to the surface, crafted more pickaxes because I was burning through them like crazy. Went back down into the mines on day 20, started digging some more, and found my first diamonds of 1.18 in the Cave and Cliffs update. Right here, my diamonds, and I actually got 8. At the start of the next day, I crafted up a diamond pickaxe, went back into the mines to find more diamonds. I exposed these diamonds, dug a few more blocks away, and found diamonds right away. Going back up to the surface, I decided to kind of explore this cave a little bit, gave up after the mobs were just a little too intense for me with only iron armor, and really needed Fortune 3 to gather up those diamonds anyway. This took a really long time, but eventually I did get Fortune 3 from this villager, but I needed to lock in his trade. Went over to my sugarcane area, grabbed some sugarcane, converted it to paper, and locked in his trade, and got the achievement, What a Deal. I broke out some sheep apparently by trying to breed them, decided to slaughter them as well, and I expanded my farms because I needed more experience points. Then I planted more sugarcane because I knew I was going to need it for paper, and I just sat around. Starting day 25, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to create my enchanting setup. I grabbed some obsidian, made some bookshelves, cleared out the area, and placed down the enchanting table with the bookshelves behind it. Realizing that I didn't have enough levels yet, I needed to breed up some more sheep, but accidentally let them out again. This was going to be a recurring theme. Now, as I go ahead and enchant this, check what level that was right before I finished. It was only a level 28. I do not have enough bookshelves. Yes, I'm an idiot. I still made a really good pickaxe, and I do know that it took me for a really, really long time before I actually fixed it. Crafted up a diamond helmet, got covered me with diamonds. I enchanted that same helmet for unbreaking, was hoping that I was going to get something else, and I did not. I went down into the mines and I fortuned all the diamonds that I have received or found so far, and then I started mining for some more, found some more, and ended up with a total of 18 additional diamonds. The start of day 30 was a little interesting. I was cooking mutton and the sheep was watching, but I could see it in his eyes that he was planning my demise. Do you see what I did there? Anyway, I decided to craft up the rest of my diamond armor and enchant my diamond boots, and little to my surprise, I got the best boots that I've ever gotten from an enchanting table with Feather Falling 4. It took over a day to get this stupid villager to give me a mending book. I got some more diamonds so that I can craft up the diamond tools that I was going to need to go into the Nether. I decided that I needed to get some obsidian because I did not have enough in order to make the end portal. I decided to say goodbye to everything, light the portal, and go to the other side. This world took a long time to load, and I thought I was going to die, but I was fine. Decided to mine some nether quartz because I definitely needed that. It's the best way to get experience. I gave all of my gold to the stupid piglin for him to eventually give me a fire resistance potion, which is exactly what I was looking for. Came to the overworld and pretty much got burnt to the crisp because it was zombie apocalypse. At the start of day 36, I crafted up my first bow. Who's keeping track anyway? Went back into the Nether and decided that I needed to get some more gold. As soon as I started mining for gold, a piglin got upset with me. Went back to the gold because I ultimately needed it to be able to trade with them, as I was looking for more fire resistance potions. I could have made some bomb on my own, but I figured that this is going to be the easiest way, but little to my surprise, it definitely was not. Finally made my way down to level 15 to start mining for ancient debris, dealt with a lot of lava and a lot more lava along the way, and almost killed myself by looking at this wall right here. Anyway, eventually I found my first ancient debris hidden in the depths. Also keep in mind that I had to do a lot of strip mining looking for all of these pieces of ancient debris because I didn't have access to TNT yet, as I didn't have a gunpowder farm. But I also needed more gold to trade with the piglins, and I also needed quartz so I could get some of my experience points up. Eventually, I was able to find 20 pieces of ancient debris and converted those into 5 netherite ingots. Over the next 20 to 25 days were the biggest blur and probably the biggest waste of time because I'm going to be working with villagers. I started out being productive by crafting up netherite tools and armor and working on this villager trading hall. Doesn't it look beautiful? They quickly realized they did not have enough beds, so I stole them from around my village and other villages that were nearby, and eventually convinced 2 villagers to come down here and give me the family that I so desperately deserved for future needs. I placed down 3 lecterns. That was just the start of it, and eventually had to keep breaking and placing lecterns to finally get the trades I was wanting to get. No, Smite 3 was not what I wanted in the long run. I got bored and sick of working with the villagers here at the early stages, so I did some farming with some sugarcane. I used the pumpkins that I got on day 2, expanded my farms. I also planted all the pumpkin seeds that I needed. I went out and chopped some trees of both birch and oak alike, as that's the most common in the area that I'm currently at. I bred up my animals, including my cows, my sheep, and my pigs, and then eventually I went and explored because I needed a lot more coal so that I could use it as a fuel source in my furnaces. Found lots of deposits of coal, at least at this point in time. I was hoping that I was going to get lucky and find a azalea tree inside of the birch forest. Didn't find one, but I did find these 3 guys, and they were following me around everywhere at this point in time. I was actually getting a little bit nervous because I really felt like they were stalking me, so I had to file a restraining order with the local department, but all they did was at me the entire time. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, these 20 to 25 days, specifically day 51 to 63, were very much a blur and a huge waste of time. I spent a lot of time working on the farms, gathering up resources to be able to trade with the villagers, These are examples of at least a couple of them that I was able to get, Sweeping Edge 3 and Feather Falling 4, but this is what the villager trading hall was looking at the end of day 63, and I told you it was beautiful. Starting on day 64, I felt like I was getting into the swing of things and finally had found my groove. Ventured from the overworld into the Nether, and this is where I had realized that this is where my farming villager had been the entire time. Collected a lot of bone blocks for bone meal because I was going to need them, and quickly had to deal with this stupid skeleton. Made my way over to a crimson forest where I had to deal with this hoglin. I don't like hoglins, they're way too overpowered, but eventually I did find a fortress. Made my way to the top of that fortress, and this is how I entered the fortress for the very first time, by killing this blaze. I needed to kill a lot more blaze though, because I needed their blaze rods for potions and also Eyes of Ender. So once I felt like I had enough, I left that area and went back to the overworld. Once I made it back to the overworld, I went back to the pillager tower here and collected the gifts that they had in the chest, which was not very good. Their hospitality was definitely not welcomed. I killed the flag bearer and got voluntary exile. Made my way back to the village that I had found at the very beginning of this entire series, rang the bell, and started the raid for the very first time here in hardcore Minecraft. Waves upon waves of pillagers came my way, but somehow I made time to actually spend the night being read a bedtime story by this Vex and sleeping the night away during a raid. Once I killed the last pillager of the raid, I became hero of the village. So what else would you do with that? I collected all the totems I could, made my way back to my village, and was quickly made a hero, and I was showered with lots of gifts. The next few days started with me crafting up a netherite hoe and getting a serious dedication challenge completed. I also tend to all my farms and my animals for probably the 100th time already in this series, and I was getting really annoyed with it. I needed it for the XP and the resource to be able to trade with my villagers. I needed it to be night, so I placed down some torches, and I wanted to ultimately hunt phantoms. If you guys know why, then go ahead and leave a comment down below. It eventually began raining, and there was nothing I could do about it, so I spent that time either trading with my villagers or tending to all of my crops yet again, and eventually I went out and got some more iron, because when don't you need iron ore in Minecraft? I started day 77 by finding a wandering trader. He didn't have any good trades, so I decided to kill him and his llamas. Eventually the phantoms did spawn, and I got all of the phantom membranes that I could have ever needed to brew the potions that I was about to brew. However, I did not have all of the ingredients that I needed, so I had to go back into the Nether, and this creeper scared me. It was the biggest scare in the episode so far. Thank God I had a trusty flint and steel on me, and I went back to the Nether fortress, and the first wither skeleton that I found gave me his head. I needed nether wart because that is what I was missing, so I grabbed everything I needed and eventually made it back to my compound. I crafted up a whole bunch of slow falling potions. I made 9 of them. Probably a little bit of an overkill if you ask me, but I was over prepared. I wanted to be more prepared than underprepared, so I set off with my Eyes of Ender, and eventually I got to the point where I had to start backtracking a little bit, and then the last pearl that I threw eventually popped up from the ground below me, so I knew where I needed to dig. As I started to dig, I got all the way down to bedrock, and that really confused me. On day 81, I broke into the stronghold, so thank goodness for that. However, I did spend the next 3 full Minecraft days, 1 full hour, trying to find the end portal. Eventually, I did find some places that I had never yet discovered, so I was really thankful for that. I broke open this door, turned around the corner, and there was the end portal. I put in the Eyes of Ender, opened the void or the space that was needed, drank a slow falling potion, and I decided to jump through. I got the achievement, the end. I started falling and thought was going to be falling into the void, but I did not, and there was a platform below me. I started taking out all of the end crystals so that I could easily start taking out the dragon, and the dragon could no longer go ahead and regenerate his health. This is the worst part of the entire dragon fight. I just had lost my slow falling potion and was not quick enough to get to my bucket of water, but it only ended up doing a heart full of damage. Eventually I was able to get him all the way down to the end of the health. Then I was able to grab the mint just before I decided to quickly pull up my bow and get the last final shot and free the end of the Ender Dragon, and finishing my fight with the Ender Dragon for the first time ever in Minecraft Hardcore. Right after the Ender Dragon fight, I built up a staircase to this end portal. I was nervous and excited to actually go through, but I did it anyway. I got remote gateway, and only 2 minutes of exploring, I found my first end city, and lo and behold, it actually has a ship as well. During my bridging experience, this is the worst that I'd ever had. If I fall, I die, but I had my palms sweaty the entire time, and they had to be dried off multiple times. I killed the shocker and eventually got my first elytra, where I obtained Sky's the Limit, and I was so very excited that I had to share it off and bounce up and down for you. But eventually I took my maiden flight, if you want to call it that, because I never used one rocket during that entire flight. And eventually I did more exploring and found another end city very nearby with another ship. So I repeated the process. I killed the shocker and I got the wings. This time I decided to rid the entire area of shockers just like I did the first time. But it's time for me to go back to where the dragon had spawned, because I needed to make my way back to the overworld since I didn't have many rockets to spare. I beat Minecraft, so to speak, because this is what it is, but this is just the beginning. I spawned back at Spawn Island and I was very excited to be back, and at this day I watched the sun rise in super fast motion so you guys can enjoy it with me. Now, over the next few days, I spent most of my time trading with the villagers to get the emeralds that I needed so that I could put mending and unbreaking on my newly acquired elytra from the end. So I spent time with my animals and also my crops. I made my first ender chest right here, which is going to be needed for later. I also finally got enough emeralds for my unbreaking and also my mending on the elytra, and then I decked out the rest of my gear, or at least the best that I had for the time being. I felt like this was good enough, so I wanted to go exploring. I found a bamboo forest, and I was hoping to find a panda because I had never found one in Minecraft before. I mean that honestly. I've never found one, and eventually I found one, which was crazy. I was really excited. I dug up a whole bunch of sand from the desert, a full shocker box at least, and then I ended up going back to where the panda was at because I wanted to be able to put him in a safe enclosure until I could come back, because again, I have never found a panda in Minecraft before. On day 90, I knew that I wanted to start having automatic farms. I know that my deadline for the hardcore series within the first 100 days was coming close to an end, but I really wanted to have an automatic iron farm. It is one thing that I've hated going out and getting so far up until now, because I'm so used to having an iron farm really early on in any world that I create. However, this iron farm was going to be different. The first thing that I had to do was build up a track to get it away from where my village was at, because I definitely didn't want to have it in the location that my villagers were currently at. So I built it up about 200 blocks away. This farm is something that I have never done before or designed before, but it was really simple to go ahead and build, and I was able to lure a zombie in right away. If you guys want a tutorial for this iron farm, I will definitely go ahead and do that. If you so desire, please go ahead and leave a comment down below. After that, I worked on getting my villagers over. It took about a day to get all 3 of them. It was really easy. It just was time consuming. I was able to get all 3 of the villagers into their area that they would be at forever, and almost immediately an iron golem spawned right away. I sat and watched for the next day because I really was excited to have iron. After I finished the iron farm, I really didn't know what to do with my last few days on my hardcore world. However, I knew that I could tend to the usual suspects, my farms, my villagers, and then bam, it hit me. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with the little last few days. So I rushed back to the stronghold, found a geode in the process that I completely missed the first time that I was in the stronghold. No idea how I did that, but I wanted the dragon egg because I had an idea for something that I could do with it later. I just didn't have the time to do it within the first 100 days as of right now. I brought up another cat, returned back into the nether, killed a gas with a return to sender, and went back down and found more ancient debris. I finally found the time to fix up my enchanting area. It had been level 28 since the very beginning of the entire series so far, and now it's finally a level 30. After that, I made my last 2 tools, netherite tools, so now I had netherite everything, at least one of everything anyway, and then I finished up with the finale of watching the sunset on the 100th day. At this point in time, I would really like to thank you guys for watching this video. It took me an extremely long time to record all of this and then edit it in the process. It actually took me over 50 hours. So if you guys have enjoyed the series up to this point, please smack that like button, leave a comment, and let me know what you thought of it. And honestly, let me know what you guys would like to see happen from here. Do you want more 100 days? Would you like a live stream? I'm a little nervous about that. Or would you like to just see episodes going forward? Even though I've actually already accomplished a lot, and this is the first time that I had ever done anything with hardcore Minecraft ever, and I survived my first 100 days without really any issues and not even coming close to dying. Hopefully you guys can have the same experience, but until next time, YouTube, you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're already doing it, and you guys stay gaming.